Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to you, depending on where you are tuning in from. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have something to celebrate today. Ricardo, do you know what it is?
I have no idea what's going on.
I expected that. Today is our 25th episode.
25th? Whoa.
And we had no idea. Should have been a really big deal, but we were counting earlier. We're like, wait, hold on. If we count properly, this is number 25. So this is a big milestone for us. And so, wow, I can't believe it, Ricardo. So thank you so much, everyone who has been supporting us, and thank you, Ricardo, for being so
Thank you.
patient with me. But anyways, this today is actually a very special episode, and I think it worked perfectly. And we have some special guests today. And was there anything else you want to say, Ricardo, before we
No,
bring
we're
on our
just so
first one?
thankful for everybody that has been watching us, and we are learning with you. And yes, our first guest, you want to introduce him?
Yes, our very first guest, and we have our celebratory confetti, is our own president, Mr. Billy Joe Wright. Welcome. Thank you for joining
Hello,
us.
everybody. Oh my gosh, how excited am I to be here to celebrate our 25th session. This is amazing. You know, we've talked for so long about our motto in the Hacienda La Puente Teachers Association being putting students first. And we've always talked about letting educators lead and about letting teachers teach teachers and about even taking that even further to expanding it beyond teachers to everyone else that is represented by our association that services students, our speech language pathologists, our psychologists, our counselors, our TOSAs, our COSAs. And Hacienda La Puente Teachers Association has always been supported by what I like to call our mother organization, CTA, the California Teachers Association. And when they came to us and said, hey, we like those things that you all are doing, how can we support you? The idea that they offered us support to do a series on professional development and be known as the HLPTA CTA ILC professional development team. And then you two, let's go back to Ricardo and Teresa. What you two did and have done and continue to do. I've said this to you before personally, but I need to say it in front of everybody. When we talk about showing our professional side and showing our passion for what we do and our commitment to students and how much we understand that we need to show representation. Our students need to see themselves in us. And so these past few months, it's been, and you know this because Kelly and I have told you, our primary staff person, it's been an emotional ride because when you're sitting in these meetings planning it and seeing your two faces and then watching what you produce and bringing other TOSAs on like Lisa Ruiz and Araceli Garcia and so many Robert, so many others that our kids and our teachers, we're all seeing ourselves now in a different way. So I don't want to keep going on because I know everybody's not here for me. So I just want to tell you, thank you so much. You are not only changing how professional development is delivered, but you are impacting so many students' lives. So I did bring you a gift, which I know you already know what it is. But today, I am so excited that we are going to have our special psychologist present, Ryan Ramos. So Ryan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me. It's great to be here.
Ryan, I just want to say to you before I bounce out of here and let you all carry on the show.
Yeah.
I came to this district and you have always been one of those people that I've looked up to. When I got to know and see how you not only work with students, but how you walk us, even when I was a new teacher, through learning some of the social emotional elements. You have a passion and a commitment for what you do. And I've always admired it. And now I'm proud to be able to be a president of your association to introduce you. So I'm looking forward. I'm going to be in the audience as you present. Thank you.
Thank you for those. Yeah, and thank you so much. Those words for the kind words, and yeah, passionate about it. I love that it comes across, and I just love being able to be here, and I really appreciate the invitation and 25 episodes. You guys all should be very, proud of yourself for hitting that, that milestone. It's awesome when we hit those milestones and we don't even, like you were saying, having to count backwards. Like, oh, whoa, this is 25. We've been having such a good time, right? Time flies. But thank you again, Billy.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Billy.
so
Bye,
much,
everybody.
Billy. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Billy. Enjoy the show. Thank you so much for
I'll be
joining
watching.
us.
I'll see you in the chat.
Okay, see you in the chat.
It's funny, Ryan, because he mentioned, him being a new teacher. I've been at the district, and Teresa likes to make fun of me, but I was there, and you were there at Wilson High School, and you would always come and support me. And I have to say that because we go way back. So I have to say that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I remember Billy, and I didn't call him on it, but actually, him and I, we happened to be in a college class together in undergrad. Like, I recognized him at a training. I was like, and we connected that way. So yeah, me and him go back even before HLPUSD. So it's awesome how kind of, world's not a big place, right?
That is so cool. Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah. I'm distracted because I'm trying not to get emotional about things, but but anyways, we have been looking forward for so long to getting you on our show. So thank you once again, Ryan, for joining us. Everyone, we are on session 7 of our social emotional learning series, and we are highlighting an awesome resource today. And we kind of looked over what Mr. Ramos is going to do today, and wow, we're so excited. So it's on greater good in education, science-based practices for kinder. I said kinder. Ricardo, you did that to me. Okay, I'm gonna say we were rehearsing, and he kept telling me it's kinder. It's like, kinder. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I swear, even typing out like kinder, it's like this is for more than kindergarten. No, kinder. Okay, all right.
I got you.
I was teasing him about it because he kept saying it wrong, and now I said it wrong live. Sorry, everybody. Totally, it is live. I apologize. But kinder, happier schools. But before we continue, we just wanted to let everyone know, since this is a special episode because it's our 25th episode, and it's also a special episode because we have an amazing guest. We are going to be having a raffle. So again, as always, when you do our raffles, all you have to do is comment at any time. What are they getting, Ricardo?
We got
Starbucks.
The Starbucks.
Everyone needs Starbucks right now. You must admit. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and do the raffle for any participants during our live, and we'll also do another raffle for any of those who to subscribe to our channels. So please feel free to subscribe and to join us in the chat, and we'll be doing some raffles probably a little bit later after the show. So just wanted to let you know that. And now we can get back to the important business. So Mr. Ryan Ramos, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So Ryan Ramos, this is now my 11th year as a school psychologist in our district. So I've been fortunate enough to work across the district, like all levels. I've made it across a lot of schools. So I'm not the best with names. So I run into people, hey, Ryan, I'm like, just from making it around. But really, enjoy what I've been able to do. And I'm really excited to be able to share the resource that I have for today. So why don't I get into it? So Ricardo, Teresa, you can help me just make sure that I'm going to put this up here. So are we looking now at my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, we are. It's perfect.
Okay. We are.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, guys. All right. So yes. So the resource that I'm going to highlight, greater good in education, like we said, science-based practices for kinder, happier schools. So you can see there, this is, kinder, happier schools. This is an organization that is out of UC Berkeley and kind of associated with a greater good in sciences department that they have there. But I wanted to be able to give a little bit of background on, where is this program coming from? What are they all about? I think, seeing their kind of mission statement and the words that they use there, I know, Billy talking about having certainly a passion for supporting students, supporting educators in the field, definitely around the field of social emotional learning. So we'll talk about that a lot today. Social emotional learning, the big 5 skills: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, social skills or relationship skills, and then responsible decision-making. So here's a little bit about the Greater Good in Education program. So like I said, it's kind of like a subdivision of the Greater Good Science Center. I love this, that they're, teaching skills that foster a thriving, resilient, compassionate society what we call the science of meaningful life. I feel like I'm simpatico with the with the people that are at this institution. So at the end of the day, everything about this resource kind of centers around the idea of pro-social behavior. At the end of the day, I think it's useful to think of SEL skills, SEL behavior, that kind of thing as pro-social behavior. You know, the mindsets, the attitudes that help us accomplish our goals, but also do that in the context of functioning, cooperating with others, and ultimately making some of those responsible decisions that kind of support that whole process. So love this place, love the resource, and that's why, I thought it would be something good to share on today. So that's who Greater Good is. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. Yeah, there we go. All right. So I also wanted to give a little bit of a sense for where this resource fits. I know when Ricardo and Teresa kind of asked me to join, and guys, if there's anything that comes in there and you want to kind of pop in or dig a little bit deeper on something, feel free to kind of just jump in. But when I was offered the chance to be able to join, it was in the context of continuing from the summer PD that we did. And some folks that are watching this may have attended or may have heard or may have accessed the resources that we put together with that summer PD, but it was titled Stronger Together. And it was really focused around some of the mental health, social emotional stuff that we wanted to do in the return to school. So kind of making a connection to where this piece might fit with some of those resources that we've shared before. Best practices in SEL implementation call for delivery of standalone lessons where we're focusing on a skill or a skill area, like those big 5 that I mentioned before. So we got the standalone lessons, and then integration into academic instruction, because these are skills, these are behaviors that don't operate in a vacuum. And we're going to look here. And as many of you have probably found, experienced yourself, we are doing SEL in essentially everything that we do. So it can be easier in some content areas. English and history, social science really lend themselves to it. But we're going to see here all content areas we can infuse. So where this resource fits. So in terms of standalone lessons or activities, I kind of just wanted to highlight back to those summer resources, first step being second step. That's our district, official curriculum, kindergarten through 8th grade. So encouraging folks out there, hey, we're talking about SEL in HLPUSD. We can't talk about that with reminding, hey, take a look at our second step materials. Hopefully you have kids in the classroom, but if not, this link in the PowerPoint goes right to our Google Drive. And that links to a folder that has resources for second step. It includes a document to help you set up your account. If it's something that maybe you never got around to, or it's been a long time and you've changed computers, that kind of thing, but you set up your account, you get access to the digital materials. So wanted to bring that up. And then, yeah, like I said, we'll look at some standalone lesson activities. We also kind of shared some stuff that wasn't necessarily from second step, but again, resources in that Google Drive. The teaching activities to support SEL competencies. It's a document right from CASEL. So that's the Consortium on Academic and Social Emotional Learning. They are the hub. They are the hub. They are the organization when it comes to social emotional learning. So that's a document that it is organized by each of the 5 competencies, and then just a bunch of different activities that you would be able to do as a teacher or psychologist, counselor, and kind of just pick up and go. And I like that organization of the activities by skill area, because it kind of can drive, hey, what are we working on? Hey, we're working on self-awareness. We're working on self-management. And I think that's important for us as educators, learning standards and hopefully SEL standards, knock on wood, coming at some point. They're going to be written around those 5 skill areas. So that's a document that you can also kind of check out or kind of makes a connection. And then, yeah, the CASEL 3 signature practices. And I believe you guys looked at one of the signature practices in a previous episode. I forget if it was the uplifting closure or the welcoming inclusive activities. But
I've actually done them all in different episodes. Yeah, definitely.
I must have maybe just looked at one of the. I saw that. I think you had was it Liz doing some art activities
Yes,
one of
Lisa
the
came in and she did some art. Absolutely, yes.
yeah. So connection there to the Castle 3 signature practices. So the other piece of good SEL implementation, along with the standalone lessons, is the integration into academic instruction. And again, there was a link right from Castle on some ideas to that. So if we're thinking
Awesome.
about where this new resources that we're going to talk about today, Greater Good in Education, kind of connects with how is it similar to other materials that we've looked at in the past? Where does it fit? Here's some ideas on that. All right, so why I like this resource, this Greater Good in Education. So first off, like I just said, it's got the integration features, and then it's got the standalone lessons. So boom, check off one right there. The standalone activities can be organized, filtered, accessed by those big five. So I like that just because we can get to the skill area. And then we'll look at some of the activities that are actually built around sample topics. So I put some of the ones up here. There's also self-compassion, self-love, gratitude. We'll look at the different categories that are up there. Yeah. When we look at the different sections, everything is organized by, okay, what are they? Why are they? And how do we do it tab is all of the related practices that we can sort by level and duration of time. Lower elementary, upper elementary, middle, and high school. They even have stuff for college and adult, just because adult SEL is a big deal too.
Yes.
And we're the right. I mean, we need to kind of like
Amen.
not only
think-
only from a level of like self-care. I mean, I think that's like the lowest hanging fruit, like right away. But the more that we are bought into that, I feel like as educators and adults, like in the school setting, that translates into our practice with the kids, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think that there's a definite connection there. But when we're looking at these activities, again, in terms of accessibility for users like us, teacher, counselor, psychologists, super user-friendly, just in terms of being able to, okay, I want to talk about this topic. I'm at this level and I have this amount of time. Less than 5 minutes, less than 15 minutes, or activities that are sorted by like an hour. Or I think there's even a feature for like 2 hours or less. Maybe some of our block periods. I haven't looked at many of the 2 hour or less activities, but we'll focus on some of the more shorter ones just because I know that ends up being, user friendly, and just kind of the more that we're able to do even shorter activities, but on a more consistent daily basis, maybe versus just that one time a week, longer lesson. What the research would say is that we get more bang for our buck, doing 10 minutes, 5 days a week, rather than one day of 50 minutes. So yeah, I think those short activities are super useful. So let's, keep going. So integrating SEL into academic instruction. At the end of the day, I copied this right from GGI. So we'll look at a page and we're going to click on some of the sample activities for social science. But I pulled this down right from their kind of for example page. And I did it purposely. Let me see if I can move. Yeah. The section that I have there in bold text, the after each grouping, the students discuss. That right there, that sentence stem or that idea is like a quick and easy, dirty way of making any activity have an SEL component. When we are getting students to reflect on the process, reflect on themselves and their response in the process, reflect on, maybe their participation, cooperation, or connection with others throughout the process, we are doing SEL learning. We are supporting development of those SEL skills. So it can be as simple as that. And so this activity that's up here, you can see, the teacher kind of wanted to be strategic. So had the students do the activity on their own, and then in pairs, and then in groups, in groups with assigned roles. And then, hey, after each grouping, students discussed and reflected. Boom. We are infusing into, still getting the job done with our little physics assignment, right? Hey, we still were able to figure out some of the components that makes, a good wall for Humpty Dumpty or something. And we can talk about those physics components. So we're not losing any time on the academic instruction, but we're more just adding on this extra component that was already happening in the first place. So yeah, I like that. And I think, again, just highlighting that bolded statement, you throw that in at any given time. And even if it's just like a, turn, pair, share, talk with your partner about that, or let's take a second for silent reflection and then do a quick 1 minute, group closeout. boom. And I do think the strength, how we can build these skills, shape these skills, is how much we're able to infuse and use on a regular daily basis. So stuff like this is super useful. And at the end of the day, you can see where, again, our big five are easily applied to this stuff, right? I mean, even at the end of the day, responsible decision making. Hey, was I following the rules when I was assigned my role? Even though I wanted to be this, but I was assigned this, did I follow through? Because that was really the responsible decision to make in the context of this group. And the other skills, I mean, very apparent in an activity like this. So yeah, integrating SEL into academic instruction. Like I said, at the end of the day, we are talking about pro-social teaching strategies. The explicit attention, whether that be in activities or just getting people to reflect on how they're working in the context of others, how they're working in terms of accomplishing their own goals. I thought we could just take a look at one activity just to kind of give an idea about how this stuff is kind of organized, getting a chance to kind of take a first look at the website here. So we're going to spend most of our time today looking at stuff under the tabs for academic instruction and student well-being. That said, my well-being, good stuff. Dealing with different school challenges, relationships, right? Everything's about that. But everything, like I said, as far as like activities, things that we're delivering with students, for the most part, are going to be under those two tabs. So yeah, let's take a look at social science, and I'll give you guys an idea of how. I know I was talking about when things are presented on the website, it's always in this what, why, and how. All related practices kind of being the how. So you can see here. So social science studies, what is it? Gives a kind of an example here. For example, when I clicked on science, that's where I copied and pasted it from. A little bit about why it's important. Hey, for you, maybe when we're sharing with students, and certainly, giving students a little bit of why behind this stuff and kind of increasing their own self-awareness. And we can do that with little ones too. We can do that first grade, kindergarten, of course, developmental language and kind of how deep we're going, but we can do this at all levels. So kind of giving some background on this also can kind of help students understanding and processing of these activities. This is why it's important to kind of think of myself in the context of group stuff. The meat and potatoes is when practices. So this is where you can.
Did we lose Ryan?
We might have lost him for just a second. So we're just going to maybe give him a few seconds to.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Ryan,
yeah, we lost you for about 5 seconds. So sorry about that.
I'm sorry about that. You know what? And I know I saw your guys's like direction that plugin is better than Wi-Fi, and just where I'm at right now, Wi-Fi is the option. So
you're fine. It was very short, but if you want to
okay.
repeat what you just said, please go for it.
So you know what? I think what probably was missed was that just this tab for all related practices.
Yes,
that's the meat and potatoes. So like if you're looking to just kind of get into, the what and the why are important, and I like looking at that stuff, but give me the activities, give me what I'm going to actually do. That's the tab right there. And what's nice about this website, when the organization, we're able to toggle by this stuff right here. So instead of maybe just having to kind of laundry list it, a little bit and kind of going through this stuff. And you know what I'd say too, once you sign up, when you start to click on these activities, and I'll show when we click on one, you're able to kind of like flag it, and it'll kind of create a bank of my activities. So, once you find something and you like it, you don't got to go digging again. It's part of your account.
So cool.
So let's see, middle school, and let's say we have under 30 minutes. Now, I'll be honest, and I know that I cheated a little bit just to kind of strategically pick some of these assignments just to kind of bring up some of the features. So I wanted us to look at this contemplative reading. Oh, you know what? No, that's not the one that I want us to look at. I want us to look at contemplative writing. Let's see. Is that not up here? Maybe did I do 15 minutes? Let's see if that. Yes, there we go. All right. So students explore their thoughts, emotions, or ideas by free writing on a topic of their choosing an academic related question, an ethical dilemma. So what's also great about these activities is that there's flexibility. So at the start of the layout, it'll give you an idea of what do I need to do to plan for it, time required, any kind of materials. And again, I think a strength of this resource in general is that you're going to find when you get to the activities, they are not requiring that you have like a small store of stuff just to easily access and just like, oh yeah, just get this and go down to your, the resource room and grab all this stuff. It's like, oh, okay. And that can kind of be discouraging.
Yes.
Some of the activities do make reference to like, hey, maybe we read this like book about feelings and they kind of tell you a title to use. I have found, and what I often do with my students, if I can get the book, because it's great for us to look at print and a hard copy, but like 99 times out of 100, going to YouTube, that story is up there and there is an appropriate reading of it. So you can kind of access it that way. So you think about it, a teacher in their classroom kind of projecting on their front screen, still able to access, the book that's referenced here. I've also kind of toggled out my own, book on feelings, or if it's some kind of other social story, and just adapted the questions a little bit. So a lot of flexibility. How to do it gives you the directions for kind of setting it up. In this instance, with this activity, we introduce the idea of free writing and just kind of let students know, hey, it's a way to kind of be aware of your emotions, your kind of real feelings about a topic or a subject. Sometimes you kind of just write things that you didn't even really know were kind of there. This activity in particular works better with particular prompts. So you can see right here, we were under social science. So how might the world be different if the atomic bomb had not been invented? If we're doing something on World War II or something like that. I just like the way that this is set up, just in terms of, before what you'll need. It kind of gives an idea on, kind of the progression of the activity. And then it will typically give information on adaptations that you can make and must-dos. So it'll kind of tell you, like, at the end of the day, you have to do this piece. But from there, making any other adaptation. And at the end of the day, the must-do is really often related to like the main idea of the activity. So I like that the resource kind of gives that, additional guidance as well, just kind of helping to kind of be able to feel comfortable about delivering it. So yeah, let's go. I'm going to toggle back over here. So yeah, I included the links to each one of the academic areas. Encourage, folks out there, certainly teachers, at the classroom level, when we can infuse this stuff with some of the things you're already doing in class. Boom, two birds with one stone, right? Yeah, two birds with one stone. All right. So let's look at some of the standalone activities. And you know what? I'm going to toggle back to that slide, kind of thinking about just the order of this, just because, and we saw this a little bit with what I was able to preview on the the activity we just showed. But when things are organized, stuff that supports the delivery, hey, planning for it. It also gives us an idea of like when we might use this practice, how to do it. So the how to do it often kind of encourages us as the presenter to reflect on the thing happening before we do the practice. Maybe we kind of do it on our own, or we kind of take this moment to kind of reflect for delivering. And then, like I said, the research behind it, whether that's for students, colleagues, parents, admin, wondering why we're doing this or where are we getting the bang for buck, all that information is up there. So you can see those are the list of topics that are covered. I want to first look at some of the information on this slide. So I'm going to skip the kernels. I'm going to come back to that one second. I could have put that one at the bottom, but we'll come back to that one second. And I'm just going to click on self-awareness. So like I mentioned before, hey, those big 5 SEL skills, it's nice when activities are organized around those domains, because then we know kind of what we're working on. If we're thinking about like lesson objectives or things that we might use for other academic content areas, there's a skill set or skill basis that we're trying to work towards, right? So it's nice that it's organized that way, and we can talk about, hey, we're working on self-awareness, we're working on self-management, we're working on responsible decision-making, all that kind of stuff. So again, what, why, and then how. Let's take a look at all related practices. And let's take a look at a couple things. So let's take a look at what do we want to do here? I keep saying middle school, so I guess we'll just stick with that. Let's say I'm a middle school teacher and maybe I have a little bit more time. And the reason I wanted to show this activity, we're going to do Discover Your Full Self here. Let's take a look. Discover, yeah, your grateful self. So with some of the materials, and I was saying earlier, like, oh, you can make this, check this, and it will go into your activity. When you click this guy over here, it will kind of add to your bank of activities, so you can kind of start creating your own library. So discover your grateful self. So at the end of the day, another kind of reflection activity, and why I wanted to kind of highlight this activity is that some actually also include a PowerPoint.
Oh, wow.
Again, when there's anything
cool.
that is kind of going to be needed for delivery of the lesson, it's right there built in. You're not kind of having to either like go and create some of your own stuff. Because I'll say, like, we were looking at the lesson activity breakdown, and it was kind of giving, okay, character strengths, we're going to talk about that. When we're thinking about presenting that material to students, we need to have some kind of visual. We're not typically just going to be having like a conversation around that. And again, it's great to have an activity, but if that leads to something that I need to then make to then deliver, that's one extra step. And so what I found with Greater Good in Education is that when it calls for any other kind of additional visual, when it calls for maybe using a worksheet to gain student responses, everything is included in there. And you know what? When I found too, it kind of looks nice too. I mean, this, the PowerPoint here, looks nice, and it's kind of ready to go, ready for use with you being able to deliver that. So yeah, let me toggle back over here. Wanted to just kind of be able to highlight some of the longer lessons or other lessons that might have components with it, like a PowerPoint or a worksheet. That stuff is easily accessible and kind of built in as part of the whole package. All right, let's go back over. All right, so this is going to be the last kind of like section that I kind of highlight. After this, we're going to look at specific activities. So you can see here, there's a lot up here, and so I don't want to give any kind of impression that at firsthand used every single activity up here. I'm at the high school level. That's where my site mostly is. So I've tended to use more at that level. That said, I have counseling cases, the gamut. And so being able to pull some of this stuff for individual use, and that's what I did when we're going to look at some of my favorites, some of my faves. But let's look at this SEL Kernels tab. So kernels, kind of getting the idea from the word there, like these little kind of like nuggets. And the thing that I wanted to highlight about this, so again, what are they? Why are they important? The all related practices. What are they? At the end of the day, they're groups of lessons. So that's another benefit of the kernels. Like they're usually at least 4, sometimes a little bit longer, like between 4 and 6 brief activities. So like 15 minutes that are centered around these 5 main ideas. So cognitive skills, feeling skills, emotional skills, people power, citizenship power. So that's where they talk about character, and then mindset. So the attitude that I bring. So the kernel activity, the activities in the kernel section kind of all center around that. The one drawback with this section, and hopefully it's something that's kind of like in progress, because they have stuff up to middle school and high school. With the kernels, it's kindergarten through 6th grade. So, and I didn't click around on any of these ones. They're all fairly similar in terms of like the subjects that they address. Again, those 5 big areas, but just kind of being able to apply it at a developmentally appropriate age for students. Just clicking on this first one here. I know this cool kid. This is essentially kind of like a version of, like a student of the month or student of the week kind of feature in terms of there being a focused student. But what this activity kind of ends up working towards is we're actually, doing direct instruction. We're giving practice for students giving compliments to others. And
Oh,
so I know I've seen in classrooms where teachers are kind of doing like bucket filler
yes.
stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, so this is very much in that same vein or along that same line where essentially picking a student. Very important for it to be random, and at the end of the idea, everybody ends up having a shot at it, and being able to talk with students about the different kinds of compliments that they gave. Talk with the cool kid that was selected about like, hey, how did it feel to receive
Oh,
compliments? What did you notice? So you can see, like I was saying at the beginning, reflection is the essence of SEL kind of teaching. So having
yes.
students think about, what did that feel like? What did you notice? And then for everybody else, hey, what did it feel like to give compliments? What were you paying attention to in order to compliment? When we click on one of the activities, as far as one of my faves, what I like about that activity when we get to it is that it helps students work from compliments of like, hey, I like your shirt, to compliments of like, hey, thank you for holding the door open for me. Or,
Oh,
oh,
I
thank
love
you
that.
or, oh, that was really nice how you helped me solve that problem. Like what kids are doing. Compliments about shirts and like, hey, I like how you played that sport, or just kind of like more superficial level stuff. That's a great place to start, and certainly
Mhm.
for our younger ones, that's where we want them to start. But even with our kindergartners and first graders, as the year progresses, we can work on, all right, let's start, this month we're going to focus on compliments, during science time, or we're going to focus on compliments that happen at recess, and get students to kind of
Wow.
focus on some of the behaviors that they want to compliment as well. The kernels are great. Like I said, just because they end up being, kind of little groups or clusters of activities, all really brief. And so things that you could kind of, filter through maybe on a weekly basis. We're going to do the cool kid for a certain amount of time. And some of these things, like the cool kid, I mean, at the end of the day, you got 25 students in your class, or maybe a little bit more. Um, some situations, that's something that's likely going to be going for the whole semester, or for an extended period of time. And again, there's strength in that. Doing those little things repeatedly over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where the big strength comes. All right, so let me jump into so like I said, those are the focus topics, the different areas that you could kind of look at. Let me jump into some of my faves. So the two areas of like the long list of topics that I chose to focus on were mindfulness and kindness and compassion.
Mhm.
And I'll say I chose those two. I mean, all of these things are like super important. It's like, oh, which one do I go with? At the end of the day, mindfulness, just in terms of being able to practice our skills for focusing on certain activities, or
Mhm.
practicing our skills for general awareness, so important to being at school and being able to
Right.
think in the terms of a classroom and kind of being a successful student. And then at the end of the day, kindness and compassion, it's probably one of the, that's like a core of
Yeah.
SEL. And right, like if
Absolutely.
our students walked away, of course, also knowing that, some reading and math, if they walked away being able to show kindness and compassion
Mm.
to their fellow man, I mean, like, right, like
Yeah.
mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. Those
Oh,
are the
yes.
citizens that we're looking to have. So that's why I chose to focus there. I'll say and throw out a what I've started to explore a little bit more is the self-compassion, like the whole piece of
Wow.
just sometimes running into students, and in the context of counseling, maybe a little bit different than the interactions teachers may have in class. Sometimes maybe not, because I know you guys forming those really close relationships at the class level,
Mhm.
but just hearing how sometimes students are a little bit harsher on themselves than they would
Yeah.
even be towards other people,
And
right?
adults too.
I was gonna say sometimes we do that too, right? Like we would never use the word like how we're so hard on ourselves. Like we would never say that to one of our colleagues or someone
Yeah.
else, but we kind of put that on ourselves. So I definitely think, and I've been interested in looking at some of the resources and activities related to self-compassion. But let me stay focused here because I ramble on because I get super excited about this stuff.
That's okay.
Let's take a look at the stuff I pulled for mindfulness. And then we'll look at the stuff related to Oh, and I left it up there as empathy, but it's actually from the compassion section. Sorry about that. That's a typo. And so when I presented some of these activities, I was also trying to be mindful of the idea of trying to showcase how we could potentially look at a similar skill area, but what it might look like across the different age levels.
Oh, very cool.
So that's what we're going to look at here. So why don't I click on this first one, rhyming body scan for young children. So as it's loading, and I know, our young teachers out there, teachers that are doing kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, all that kind of stuff, like especially in the language arts curriculum, I know I've kind of seen the chants, right? The chants
Yes.
and the group choral things that we do together. That's a big part of it, right? So that's why I like this activity. Because at the end of the day, so it's a practice activity to kind of get students to be aware of their body. And so it's kind of just a fun little rhyming thing that's, fun for the little ones to do. I'll say that I've done this one kind of like in a smaller group. It was 2 students, but with a pair there, and kind of between trying to manage like, hey, let's safety protocols and then absences. That group was 2 students that day, but being able to watch kind of the students follow along with the task, but then also kind of like look at their buddy that's also doing it as they're following along with this, really cool. But you can see here, and you can see the kind of the script that's here, relax your body, close your eyes if you please, allow your arms and hands to be at ease, sit up tall and breathe in through your nose, just quietly watch where your mind goes. And kind of being able to go through this, rhyming poem that's really guiding students through the start of beginning to develop their own mindfulness skills.
I feel relaxed already. You just said the lines.
It does. It's these things like those mindful minutes or taking this stuff. If you, and it's all how we do things, but if you buy into it and kind of like, all right, really relax myself and kind of do the voice tone with it, it's just like some of these physiological things that just kind of then lend themselves to me being calm and just physically calm and more emotionally calm. And then I'm ready to go and kind of key in on instruction, right? I like this kind of cute little rhyme chant that comes up here.
This would have been a great activity for a brain break session, Teresa. That would have been such a good one. Yeah,
and
I
so,
like it.
Yeah, and so I think it's a great point, Ricardo. So I know I try to always make the sell for maybe an activity like this being maybe when we're coming back from recess, or maybe we're coming back from lunch, or like whatever, and there's those moments where maybe we were doing an exciting group activity and we kind of just need to bring the energy level back down a little bit. It's a structured way of doing it, and something that the students like, especially with that when doing with the little ones, they think it's fun. We're talking about our body parts and kind of being able to point and touch and kind of maybe have a little giggle along with it too. Something similar for our upper elementary students. Appreciating our body. So a body scan. So very similar, just in the context of kind of guiding students to thinking about, all right, how's the day gone? Let me think about, and you can see this question that's right here. What is one amazing thing that your body has done today? Maybe that's, I did an amazing thing at recess, or maybe I was paying really close attention in my math lesson, or, anything like that, where we're kind of getting students to reflect on something that I did with my body to be successful here at school today. And I think the more that we can kind of, model or kind of give examples of that, here's the script that kind of goes along with it. And so you can kind of guide students through this. And I'll say the more like doing this activity the first time around, I would encourage like using the full script. Because that's how we're going to kind of teach it. As you do this activity or things like this, students jump into those skills more quickly, and we can do the activity where it's the adults talking less and getting the students to either have those reflection moments or they're talking more. So, you'll find as you do these, it's kind of like a fading to where at the start, maybe I, as the presenter or educator, am doing more of the talking, to where we're getting to a point where students kind of, all right, we're going to do body scan. Let's kind of think about it. And they know that they know the prompts and they can kind of just jump right into it. Another cool twist on it is having a student read the prompt. Having a student volunteer kind of, okay, who wants to lead us in our body scan activity today? And then having the student kind of play that role, which is kind of a cool, fun thing to do sometimes as well. All right, let's go this. And I know I could see that at 6:15, so I promise we're gonna get to this next slide and kind of wrap up here. I know one of those deals where, as much as it's like focus, there's just a lot of stuff and just a lot of like fun stuff, and that, a little bit kind of comes out, and more of it thinking about the way some of these activities play out with students. Because, I'm talking about it and it's like, oh yeah, it's all going to go as planned kind of a thing. And that's not always the case, right? Best planned lesson, or just kind of, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm going to use those words, I'm going to present it that way. And you never could have anticipated someone taking it another way. And then first student did. So, I think another part of this stuff is that it, you get to have a good time with your students.
Yes.
And that help with relationship building, community building within the class. So real quick, mindful movement for teens. I included this just because I have found, and just kind of going around to different classrooms and stuff like that, different schools, we do a lot of the physical movements with our little guys, Go Noodle, and stuff like that. And as students kind of get older, and me too, kind of less of a focus on that. And maybe more of a focus on just like the talking reflection and stuff. And it's like, no, absolutely not. Physical movements, physical breaks, incorporating that into our practice is good, at all levels. So, I mean, there's a video clip. So it's like a 9-minute, 45-second kind of guided thing. I'll say, playing this, you could pull excerpts from it. Also, as an educator, you go through this one time and maybe you pull out, the 5 minutes of physical prompt and stretching that you want to do as we're transitioning between activities. Because it was just like, we did 20 minutes of more kind of in-depth instruction, a lot of terms. All right, let's do something to break so that when we go into our small groups, we're like ready to go. We get those juices flowing again. Hey, let's do a physical movement break. So I wanted to kind of highlight that, and then also highlight so sober breathing space for teens. So, and it's like, well, yeah, of course, sober breathing space for teens. What other breathing would we be supporting here? What are you bringing here, Ramos? No. So another acronym, right? Another acronym for us in education, but sober breathing space. You can see the acronym right here. So stop, observe, breathe, expand, respond. So we're teaching students a structured way of having kind of a reflective moment that includes our breathing exercises. So again, another kind of like really quick activity, a practice that ideally, and like I said, I think it's a better way of describing it as a practice rather than just an activity. This isn't the kind of thing that you would do even as a one-off, and I'd even say like once a week is maybe like at a minimum. This is the kind of thing where, a couple times a week, we would want students to kind of reflect on, what happened this period? What did we get done? I like it as like a exit ticket activity or like a closing out the lesson activity. Just because that element of kind of like a reflection, is just like a nice time to do that. So those are some of my faves relative to mindfulness activities. So let's take a look at some of these activities right here. Now, I want to make sure, because I was going back and forth between doing some of the kindness and compassion versus empathy. So, and that's what I ended up doing. So I apologize. So this slide right here could actually say kindness and compassion, because that's what I ended up focusing on. So the activity that I was showing for our lower grades comes from the Kernel package. So it's part of the ones that were in there. And let's see. And this is the cool kid. I'm sorry. We looked at this. We looked at this already when I kind of clicked on it before. So again, this is just a way.
It's a fave.
Yeah, it is a fave. Yeah, it is a fave. Just because, again, like the easy thing, that's something to have
Yes.
in your practice the whole year. And this, okay, so what we didn't look at before, and this is where it must have been a little bit different, because this is what I wanted to highlight when I was bringing it up here, is I kind of alluded to it, but by modeling compliments to students in class, we can make it a familiar process. I like your t-shirt. But then as students become more familiar, as the year moves forward, we can start to kind of like get a little bit deeper with those compliments.
Yes.
Try to, establish a little bit more meaning, which is ultimately more connectedness, right?
Right.
So I like that that guidance that this activity gave. When I think about like bucket fillers, or even like we talk about like 5 to 1 and how we want to try to help students even kind of do 5 to 1 to each other. I know I had never thought about like the levels of compliments and how we might want
Right.
the
Yeah.
benefits of kind of like the deeper level of compliments. So wanted to highlight that there. Loving kindness buddy wishes, upper elementary. So again, within the section of kindness and compassion, this activity is about sending positive, kind thoughts to another student, to a buddy. And I know 621. I'm gonna put this up just because I think this is really helpful, useful to hear students talk about this now. Are you able to hear that, or is it really loud?
Yes.
Okay.
Picture someone who makes you very happy. Imagine that person is happy and smiling. Imagine they are surrounded by calm and peaceful things, and that their heart is calm and peaceful. You would want to send kind thoughts to that person. First, let your heart fill up with kindness, so full that it's about to burst. From your heart, may you be healthy and strong. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. Now take all that kindness and send the thoughts.
That's so sweet.
To my brother, because I miss him. I send it to my mom. I always want her to be safe. How did you feel when you sent those thoughts? Really happy. Very joyful that I got to send my dad kind thoughts. Is there someone you don't get along with? I don't get along with my brother. It is my sister. You try to send some kind thoughts to him. Someone that I don't get along with. Not a lot of kind thoughts to send.
But I'm gonna practice trying to do it. All right.
Better. Like I didn't hate that person anymore. One of those thoughts were that I hope he feels better. Just made me want to send more kind thoughts to him.
Yeah, right. Good stuff. I was like, we have to show this video because it's super cute, and it really
So sweet.
gets the point across as far as like when the students were answering that that question at the end. Again, the activity kind of has built in the idea of once students put that kindness out, that you kind of get to reflect on, okay, so how did you feel when you did that? And then it also kind of modeled the progression of like just picking people that you like versus, all right, I want you to think about someone that you're kind of having, who you had a hard time.
That's
right?
so hard.
Yeah. And I think another benefit of this too ends up being, I guess just picture myself if you're doing this at like a class level and maybe we got students to share on it, or if you got to know who students were thinking about, it could really give you an idea of who are those important people in their life, and maybe what's going on as far as like the positive thoughts that they're sending, which helps us with relationships, right? Like it kind of gets us more gets us closer to students, I should say. Loving kindness for someone you care about, feeling connected. So again, I was trying to kind of highlight things that were similar across across levels. This middle school one isn't the same as the last one as far as like writing or sending kind of a thought. So feeling connected for students. So students write about a time when they felt connected to someone and consider why they experienced that sense of closeness. So it's more of a focus on, hey, think about a time when, and then what was special about that time. So the kind of the reflection piece. The high school activity that I highlighted here is I like identical. It's almost like an overlap of the buddy one that we looked at for upper elementary, with one kind of caveat. At the buddy version for upper elementary, the recommendation for the activity is to actually pair students up. With our younger students, like having that person there, it can be more concrete. So certainly at the start of it, that can kind of help with that activity. Whereas the version with for high school students just kind of gets right into the idea of sending good wishes to someone else. Hey, have you ever done that before? How did it make you feel? You know, what happened next? What's someone, or, you know, who's someone in your life that you want to send positive wishes to right now? You know, let's take a minute to kind of think about that. And yeah, again, this when these activities are kind of standalone or kind of doing them for the first time, that's it, doing it for the first time, it's different. Things that are different or kind of new or unique, it could feel strange. It could feel, you know, I get the response. This feels weird. You know, this is weird. Why are we talking about this? You know, that's which, hey, when they say, why are we talking about this? Go back to your what, why, and how, and you'll have some good, you know, kind of one-offs to share back. But when we can start kind of adding and infusing these things into, maybe it's our end of thing activity that we do on Friday as we go out to the week. Hey, we're going to think about someone that we want to send positive wishes to, send those positive vibes. That's a nice uplifting closure, right? Going back to some of those Castle signature practices. And then, yeah, being aware of who students are sending out to, or that follow-up and asking, really can help with some of the relationship building with our students, just as far as knowing who are the people in their life that they want to, you know, send those positive vibes to. Yeah, so you know what? Those are some of the activities and resources that I wanted to be able to highlight off the website. I know I've clicked on a million tabs on this thing. To bring it back here, I included the link to the actual Greater Good in Education, because there is the Greater Good in Science, Greater Good. All the different hubs kind of have a little different letter at the end to go along with their website. So it's Greater Good in Education. If you don't have an account, this button will say log in or create an account. Strongly encourage you to do it. Once you do that, you can start, you know, saving your practices, and you'll have a library, and then you'll have you know, these things all at your fingertips. So that's what I got.
Wow.
That
I
was
never
a lot.
has something to say.
No, I was
Like,
going to Ryan. People are so thankful for all the resources and also for the links. We took the link of the PowerPoint, put it out there, and people are just commenting. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
You know, we thought we knew a lot about SEL, but oh my goodness, I'm so, you know what, the things that really stood out to me today was, and I think will really mean so much to our teachers too, is that this is not just another thing to do. Again, and I think you said infuse and use. Yeah. It's just another layer of things that they're already doing. And this resource that you shared, I'm so thankful. I would have never found this if you didn't share this. This is amazing. There's tons of stuff in there, and so easy to use.
There is a lot of stuff, and I know, you know, I get going and kind of like, you know, looking at a bunch of different things. So definitely, I would encourage, if you're at a spot right now where you're thinking, all right, how could I maybe infuse some SEL ideas? Or maybe you're at a point right now where you are delivering your second step lessons, and it's kind of like, all right, what else can I do? You know, or you're noticing that a specific thing, whether it's compassion, empathy, or self-awareness that you want to work on with your students, you know, jump in here. I know we all have like a bunch of extra time, but like you said, Teresa, with the way it's organized, if we know we're looking for compassion, empathy, if I know I'm teaching at this level, you know, the site has tried to help us with users to try to get to that quickly. And so that when we get to that lesson, for the most part, everything will be kind of packaged there, and we're able to kind of go with it. There's not a lot of
I love seeing the PowerPoints already created for you, all those worksheets, the instructions.
I'm blown away by this resource.
Yeah, for sure. So I hope people, you know, find it useful as well. You know, and if it ends up being something that feedback here, whatever, I'm always up for continuing the conversation as well. For any kind of follow-up questions or any kind of comments that come from it, Ricardo and Teresa, please just let me know.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure, you know, a lot of our audience comes to watch this on rerun, I guess, after our live show. So this is a resource that as I was watching, I was like, every teacher needs to know this resource. We need to
Yes.
get this out there to everybody. And so so thank you so much for putting that together. That I just can't imagine how much time that took for you to put that together, but your expertise and your passion
Oh,
for it evident. Amazing.
oh, that's so kind of
contagious.
you. Kind of you to say.
Thank
Super
you for
worth it.
joining us. Definitely.
And I'll tell you, like the more, like just because I've started to use it, it didn't take that much time. Like kind of putting it together and just the user friendliness of the website. So I hope it wasn't too much. I hope I wasn't too fast. And I hope, like I said, you guys find it useful in some way, shape, or form, because there's probably some little tidbit that we all could use.
Thank you so much, Ryan. We're overly thankful, grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, we did want to share. Oh, you're already sharing. Thanks, Ricardo. I didn't want to share that part yet, but it's okay. You caught me unprepared. So for everyone else who's out there, the good teaching. Go ahead, Ricardo. It's fine. We're already there.
Okay.
The genie's out of the bottle. The genie's out of the bottle.
So next week is the Good Teaching Conference thrown by CTA, and it's the home edition. We were going to go to a live conference in San Francisco, but it is now virtual, which makes us a little sad, but it's actually great for everyone because that means it is free for everyone to attend. So now if you are available to attend, please do. And not only will you see us do some sessions, but there are some amazing sessions. Let me move our picture out of the way. Sorry. So here's the Good Teaching Conference. And I think Ricardo can go ahead and, do you want to put the link in there for them, or do you want me to stick the link in there? I'll stick it for you, and then you can, there you go.
Sure.
And then go ahead and put it over. All right. So if you want to go, it is free. It's free. So please take the time. And we were looking through the program. There are tons of awesome sessions here. And we are not the only ones representing our district. We have other teachers here as well, and teachers and educators from all over. So please come join us, come learn along with us. And if you want to say hi in our sessions, please do. So again, thank you so much, Ryan, for coming.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me. It was great being here. Thank you so much for letting me have the opportunity to share. Yeah.
Ricardo, is there anything else you wanted to say?
I think that was it. Thank you so much. I learned so much today.
All right, everyone, have a great evening, and we will see you again probably after this conference. So come join us in this conference, and we will get back to our regular day and time. So thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.